So the slurry was in the field and I didn't know about it. See. And so he's smoking a cigarette. I says, what the hell did you smoke? Spread it out.
Oh, it does,
They
yeah. You
spray
don't
it
want
out,
any
yes.
windows. You
Oh,
won't go
God,
in.
yes.
I don't know how they stand it, I really
Yeah.
don't. Take my hands off because I don't know what you picked up already. Oh, look at that, Peter, look, on the television, look at that. Doesn't that look gorgeous?
Good grief, yeah.
Yeah.
Marianne arranged all those videos, and look what I found sitting there.
Irish Festival.
1989.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's one of the first ones.
have you seen this video?
I don't, I may have, I haven't seen it in a long time. If I have, that's a long time ago. Yeah.
I thought it'd be interesting to see people with
Yeah.
80s hair. And I'm just going to put up these signs so that people don't come upstairs.
Pardon?
Do you remember seeing one of just you and everything? I came away with about 100 other pictures.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, I'm just collecting these, and what am I going to do with them? You know, so they should go into some kind of history.
Peggy's going to vacuum the stairs right now so that she needs about 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's fine because we're doing the picture, so there's no sound for that.
Margie, we interviewed Margie.
Right, yeah.
That was Memorial Day.
Close friend with the Marjorie's.
Margie, yeah.
Yeah. And these were children, some of them were Jane O'Connor's grandchildren.
Okay. Cute picture, except it's got all their back.
I know.
Of course, that was the idea, was to focus on the musicians. I
Yeah.
think it was a little off.
Yeah.
Pictures from the early days of the club that were in the paper.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess you were an officer,
Yeah.
so there was some, you know, with you and
Yeah, I was in Australia for about 5 years.
wow. Now they showed in there Mary McQueenie.
Yes.
Was
She
she?
was somebody that you should interview, really.
Is she a very
Yeah.
attractive young woman
She's
from
still a
Bridgeport?
very attractive woman.
Oh, she's
today.
still alive.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, no, the
She
reason
was
I
here
asked.
Thursday night.
Oh, I
She
knew
dances
her.
on
Maybe.
Thursdays? Oh,
Pardon?
Mary Bagley?
She was the secretary for a few years, I do believe. She was,
So this is a different lady from Ireland.
She was born here, I think, and went back to Ireland and lived for quite a long time in Ireland. I do remember correctly. Well, of course, you know, I never knew that, you know, but she was telling us there. But then she came back here.
With the Hurlers, that's what they talked about. You know, they were saying, oh, we couldn't get music, but then we had Peter Bellew, and Peter
Yeah.
Bellew is our music, and he played at the weddings and.
Wakes and weddings.
She's got to decorate everything except my sheet.
Now, when you said there was.
He moved to Galway. He was Sir Patrick Downey, you know, and he tried. He used to go over with a group because he was Catholic, you know. He would go over and plead with the king, with James II, and they try and retain their the sugar cane, and operated that for quite a few years and came back to Ireland. But see, during from 1701 to 1829, Irish could not be educated.
Right.
That was the law. See, but they always sent their children to France, and it shows well, it tells you all about the schools in France. They were educated.
I can't possibly recreate the whole thing. Do you have one of the original, just
Just the question?
the non-personalized one with you? Look at all the stuff I brought with me. I have to talk to my insurance guy. I have to go to the bank. I've got all this stuff that I raced around and got all my things together. Close out a safety deposit box.
Oh, yeah.
This thing, I got my insurance, and I walked off without the sheet. That must have been, I must have put it aside while the sun was going. Look at this.
I
Yeah,
should have the
just
one
that
that
one.
you gave me too.
Just
Here
that
it is,
one.
here it is.
Okay, yeah, that one was just so I
Thank you.
remember the county forecast. Okay, I'll send it to you.
Now, Peter, your family did.
That's past history. My wife don't like history. I love history.
It sounds like you certainly know. You're lucky to know your family history going back so far too.
Well, I wouldn't have known it too much only this, I have another book, see, it's the, that I gave to my son, yes.
Yeah.
We're set.
Okay, so we
And
just need to take a deep breath.
tape's rolling anytime.
Okay, hi Peter.
How, Peg?
Hi. What I'm gonna ask you for first is your name, your complete name.
Peter Joseph Bellew.
And were you named for anyone special?
Well, I had an uncle called Peter.
Peter?
Yes, yeah.
On whose side of the family would he have been?
It would be my father's side.
Father's brother?
There was 8 in my father's family.
Okay.
Most of them all came to the States too.
They did?
They did, yes, yeah.
Wow. And you were
Yeah.
talking something about the origin of your name. Where did you think your name started? Bellew?
Bellew is really Norman.
A Norman name.
Norman, yes, yeah.
Okay. Where
So-
were you born? The county, the town, and
I was born in Dundalk, a little town on the east coast, you know, and baptized in St. Patrick's in Dundalk.
and that was its.
But we moved quite a bit. My father, he wasn't a farmer. He never liked to farm, you know, even though we had a little 20 acres or whatever it was, you know. 20 acres don't give you very much good living, see, but he never liked that. He was a man to run a pub.
Oh.
And when he was young, he left and went to Scotland. And he became a bartender over there. And when he was young, you know, and he finally made it that he bought a place for himself. And then he bought a second place
In Scotland?
in Scotland,
Uh-huh.
in Glasgow. Yeah. So then he came home and got married or whatever it was. One of the reasons he did come home was the First World War came, and he didn't want to be conscripted. See?
And Ireland was neutral?
Ireland was neutral, see.
Yeah.
Yes, they didn't want to conscript there, see.
And when
So he came home and he bought a place outside Dundalk. Well, he opened a pub in Dundalk itself, see.
what was it called?
Oh, I can't remember. I was very, very young at the time, but during that was after the First World War. See, well, I was the last to be born. My mother died when I was 2. See, so I never knew I didn't have a mother at all.
Yeah.
But during the time they were in Dundalk, we were living in this house, and we were living upstairs, and the pub was downstairs. And the Brits got some idea that a bomb was being thrown from our house. And they came and set up their machine guns right in front of the house and riddled the whole house.
How old were you when that happened?
I was about maybe a couple of months old, I guess, yeah.
So you don't have a memory of that?
No, I have no memory of that, yes, yeah. But anyhow, the walls, of course, the buildings are over there this thick, you know.
Yes.
So it smashed the windows and made messes of all the rooms, you know, but they were firing up at it, see, because it was over the pub, see. But my uncle, he had been in the Second World War, or the First World War, and he made his way out the back, made his way around, and talked to the lieutenant or whatever he was in charge and said that, you know, this is a house with a family. There's no bombs or things coming out of that. So they gathered up and left. You know, that was it. Yes, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you were lucky you had that.
I was
Oh,
lucky, yes, yeah.
good grief.
Yeah.
Now, the name of your county, you didn't mention that.
Well, that's County Louth.
That was County Louth.
Yes, yeah.
So you were
I was
actually
born in County Louth,
Louth.
yes, yeah.
And were you born at home? Or in a hospital?
No, I was born at home.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And you were the last of how many children?
5.
5.
5,
And-
yes, yeah.
And would you tell me the names of your siblings?
Oh, yes, there was Patrick, and there's Louise, which died recently. And there was Stephen. He was Michael Stephen, but we always call him Steve.
Uh-huh.
and Gerald and myself.
And yourself.
Yeah.
And it was who was the oldest of the family?
Patrick was the oldest.
Okay,
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And your sister Louise, you were very close to.
When when things went downhill after my mother died, say, things went downhill after that, say, and during my father left for United States around 27 or 28, and Lou was probably 15, 16-year-olds, and she was left in charge of it, say.
Yeah.
So I was 7 at the time, I guess, yeah.
Wow.
See, and that's why we held on to her, because she was an angel, really.
Yeah.
And God, wherever you are, Lou.
Yeah.
Yes, she was one of the best, yes.
You always talk so lovingly about her whenever you've talked to me.
Yeah.
What was the date of your birth?
11th, November 1920.
1920.
Yeah.
Now your parents, they said your father was a bar, owned a pub. And did your mother ever work outside of the house? Did she work?
No, she
never
never did, yes, yeah.
And what was your mother's maiden name?
Chalmer, 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 yes, yeah.
That's an unusual name.
Yeah, very unusual, yes,
And,
yes, yeah.
and who owned the farm, actually, this 20-acre farm? Who was that? Was that the Bellews?
It was in the family, see, and who got it, I think the oldest man was Patrick, see, but he had come to the United States, see, and it was left vacant for many, many years. And we seemed to move around when my father, after the Dundalk debacle, he bought a big farm outside Dundalk, which was called the Bush. And I have a great a lot of memories about that place, yeah, because I was 3 or 4 years old, I guess, yes, at that particular time, yes, yeah. But they had a grocery, they had hardware, they had drapery, they had a pub, and they had funeral undertaking.
In the same?
In the same building. So you had everything there, see.
And did your father ply all those trades? I mean, did he do all of that?
He had somebody coming in, helping here, helping there. But most of my aunts were there and not married at that particular time, see. And they were running it. But when their boyfriends come in, there was free drink. When some of the other ones come in, there was free boots and whatever.
Little hard to make a living.
I know,
giving it away.
but my memories of that was was playing in these old-time hearses,
Yeah.
The old ones with the tassels down the side.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And were they horse-drawn?
They were horse-drawn.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh, they used to be. My uncles used to be shining the shoe or the hooves of the horses, getting them ready for the funeral.
And the black plumes?
The black plume, the whole bit, yes, yeah.
Wow.
But see, that was in the early, it was in the 20s, yeah. And the flu came, the influenza.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was dying.
Yeah.
Everyone that came, they got the money from the pub. They got the groceries to feed these people. It was at the funeral.
Right.
They couldn't pay.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
So it went down the drain.
Down. So
Yeah.
then did your father sell that off? Is that what he
We
did?
sold that off. We had to leave that, and we went up to Dublin, see, and we lived in Dublin for 2 or 3 years. Yes, yeah.
So the family
Yes, yeah.
homestead, which you now and
Yeah,
your
occupy
sister-
us. Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
that just was kind of left
It was
there.
left. It was kind of left there.
And
Yes,
that was
yes, yeah.
but it was a Bellew farm.
It was. Yes, yeah.
And just
see,
kind of left
yeah.
at that particular point.
Well, we didn't. We did come back there in about 29, maybe or so.
Yeah.
We left Dublin. There wasn't. We were right across from St. Patrick's Cathedral, in Patrick Street. Patrick Street was pretty good at that particular time, but it had gone down the hill. But I see it's been revived now.
Yeah. And how long did you live in Dublin?
Oh God, it must have been there for a couple of years, maybe more.
Is
Yeah.
and the
don't
whole
remember
family
this,
went and
The whole family was there. Yes, yeah.
yeah. Wow.
I remember one little incident about that was we had a piano, and we were sent to an uncle or something like that for a period of time. We got back, the piano was gone. And we'd say, what happened to the piano? Oh, the cat ate it. That's all we ever got, but things must have been going too well.
That got sold.
Yeah.
How many generations
Yes, yeah.
had lived on the Bellew family land?
I can't go back too far on other than my grandmother's name was Tumulty, but I can't go back any far. I'd have loved to know, how they survived the famine.
Yeah.
That's what I would have loved to find out, say. But how they got there, because, during the 1700s, Irish couldn't buy land.
Right. Okay.
You were on, and this was an estate belonged to a Mr. Easton, believe it or not. I live in Easton
yes.
today. Yeah. And my neighbor, that big farm that I showed you, where my nephew is, when he bought that, they were still paying rent to the family of the Easton.
And how long ago was that?
Well, that's about maybe 10 years ago, or 15 years ago since he bought the farm, yes. Yeah.
And he was still paying rent?
They were still paying rent to that. He went and he got it squashed,
Yeah.
It was,
Isn't that amazing?
yeah, it is, yeah, the family, generation upon
Are
generation.
the Eastons still there? Any of them left?
No, they never were there. They were lived in London, say.
Oh.
Yeah, because the people sent the money, see, and
Right.
they didn't want to live in an area like that. That'd be ridiculous. Yeah.
So how did your mother and father meet? Do you have any idea?
I don't know.
But both sets of your grandparents came from that
Yeah.
same area?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
She was a tough lady, I understand.
Your grandmother?
Yeah, my grandmother.
Which one? On the
Right.
mother's side?
On the
Father's side?
on my father's side.
Yeah.
Father's side, yes.
But you never
yeah.
knew her?
No, oh no.
Well, she
No.
had how many children, did you say?
She had 8 children.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was small at that
Yeah.
particular
Yeah,
time.
I guess it would have been.
Yeah.
What was if you were standing in the doorway of your home?
Yeah.
As a child in the farm and looking out, what would you see in front of you if you were standing?
Well, you see the barn, which used to hold cows, calves, and a barn that would have all the equipment that a farmer would need, Then before my time, there was a shed in back of it, say. But they let some renters in one time, and then for firewood, they burned the whole shed.
That's not too good.
I know.
And what else do you see?
Well, you can look out. There's a garden in front of you, and then there's an enormous big hill right in front of you. But look down, and you see the land running down to that lake, the island, what we call the island Lough. We were in Scotland one time and seen my cousin, and my brother says, all the lakes that are here. She says, there's not a lake in Scotland. They're all lost. Yes. Well, so we have the Lough, L-O-U-G-H, with the island, the Lough. And there's one, if you go up to the head of our hill, and go up and look over, you can see 4 counties.
What are the counties?
The counties are Monaghan, Cavan, Louth, and Down.
Wow.
Yeah. But the whole southern part of Armagh is all hills, or dumlins as they call them, Dolmites. Lakes in between, yes, yeah.
And there's swans you showed me in the picture.
Oh yes, yeah, swans on the lakes, yes.
It must
Beautiful,
be just
yeah.
beautiful to look at.
Really beautiful, yes, yeah.
What was the weather like when you were a kid over there?
It was, of course, it's cloudy most of the time.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ireland has an awful lot of clouds, yes.
Yeah.
The seam, and we are the best place to buy anything. Well, my opinion of it is in the southeast. You get the least rain there, say. Kerry gets an awful lot of rain.
Yes, it does.
Kerry. Do you know why? Because the air is coming off. It's the western breeze, and it's coming off, and it raises up over those mountains in Kerry.
Yeah.
And boom, boom, boom,
It goes right down onto the beach.
you got it right.
Yeah. Sure is that way, yeah.
Yeah.
It does that. I've driven
Yeah.
down the road, and it's dry
Yeah.
below and rainy up above where I am.
I know, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Tell me about something like an average day. What would you have done as a kid as an average day when you were?
Well, when we were going to school, see, we got up in the morning and went to school, see.
What time was school start?
Oh, school was at 9 o'clock, but a lot of people didn't have clocks.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. and they would land there at 9:30, say. But you know, some of the kids, we had only to walk about a mile and a half, say, or a little more. But some kids were walking 5 and 6 miles. From one side, you know, way over near the border, and then the other side from way over near Cullyhanna. There's a little village called Cullyhanna. Yeah, so, you know, they'd come in, you know, on a wet day, soaking.
I bet they
Yeah.
would, yeah.
And the room had a fireplace, you know, where the teacher was, up right beside the fireplace. But when you were back down the back there on the frosty morning, especially if you didn't do your homework, and you were about to put your hand out and get 4 or 5 slaps, I tell you, it hurt. It hurt.
You sound like you know.
Oh, I know. I had my.
You had your few little slaps.
I had, yes, yeah.
And now I know I've heard some people say they brought you helped keep the fire going by bringing something.
Yeah, well, you had to. That was more or less past. They used to buy coal, see, where we were, in Northern Ireland, see. So we had to contribute like $1 a year or something like that, you know.
Then they just bought it.
Yes, yeah,
Didn't have to worry
yeah.
about that.
But I know my father used to talk about. He would steal the turf on the way, on the way to the school. every day.
How long was the school day? What
School, you got out at the. You were there from about 9:30 till about 3.
And did you have a vacation time?
You had a time off from 12 to 12. No, from 12:30 to 1, I think it was. Yeah. Okay. We had religion from 12 to 12:30, and from 12:30 to 1. There was some Protestants came to the school. See, and they would be always released to not in the. They would have a full hour during our religious instruction. Yes, yes, yeah.
And did you have like the summers off, like kids?
Oh, we had, but we didn't get summers off. We had what was known as the harvest holidays. Okay. See, you went through school. Of course, it was never so hot as it is over here. See, and you went through school right till about the week before the 15th of August. Well, 15th of August was a church holiday, and the oats would be coming ripe.
Yes.
See, and you had I think it was 5 weeks. We had at that particular time until right the almost to the end of September. Yes, yeah. And that was the time most families were cutting their corn. Say, as corn as we call it, was oats.
Is that what you grew on your farm?
Yes. Well, we didn't do much farming really at all because, you know, Lou was there. She couldn't do any farm. See, but we had a cow one time and. You know, just grazed, whatever it was. But most of the other farmers, see. Well, then when you were a kid, you went and worked with them, you know, from you were about 10 years old. See, when it come, the oats, of course, stood about this high. I see now they have, they graded it down. It was about this high, you know. The genetic engineering.
Oh, really?
You know, yes, yeah.
So it's easier to cut.
It's easier. Well, when it was this high, see, and you got a windstorm and a rainstorm, it fell over, and then it would rot right down to the thing.
Oh.
But one of the things I would like to tell you about is the growing of flax.
Oh, I'd love to hear about that.
Well, flax is, you know, where the linen comes from.
Yes.
And it was used by the mills down in Belfast for making linen, of course, you know. But in the springtime, you had to plow your field. You had to harrow it. You had to harrow it about twice again. Then you got this flaxseed. The flaxseed is very small. It's very slippery and silvery. So he had a guy with a fiddle. It wasn't a fiddle. It was a It was like a fiddle, and there was a hopper on it, you know, and he went back and forth to broadcast the seed. See, it was just like this, you know. You walked straight down, and back and forth. You made a mark each time, see, because you couldn't waste the seed by double doing it, you know. See, so but anyhow, when you sowed the field and it came up, it was beautiful, beautiful. Look at when it grew up. It grew up about yay high, and there come a beautiful blue flower in it.
Oh.
It was absolutely. You see a whole field of this blue flowers, you know, absolutely. But Nan kept the trouble. You had to pull every strand of that by hand.
Oh gosh.
So you went out and you got the neighbors over, and you had a flax pulling. And you pulled for days and days and days, and of course your back was broke. You know, it was, you know. And you put it in sheaves, tied them up, say. Well, now the next thing was that you had to have a flax hole. The flax hole was a little pond where you stopped some stream or something like that, and you took the flax and you threw it into this pond, these sheaves, and you buried it with rocks. The whole thing, to keep it down underneath. Yeah. And you left it there for about 3 weeks. So about the third week, that thing smelled. It was a particular smell anyhow. Yeah. It wasn't as bad as the slurry, but almost say. Then you would drain the water out of that flax hole, as we call it, down, but of course it was just coated with mud underneath. And the guy had to get in there and pick these sheaves up and throw them out, you know, one at a time, say. Put them on the cart, draw them out to the field, spread them out all along. There was a thin layer, so as it would dry. Then after about maybe a week or 2 weeks, depending on the weather, you had to gather them back up again and put them in stooks, as we called it, you know, put them together, you know. Then you had to haul them to the Scotch mill. And you had to send somebody down to the Scotch mill to help with your flax. And the dust of that place, you know, because there was mud on all this stuff. And of course, you were dead, both from work and from dust of this place when you got out of there. But that was a tough job, you know.
And that was the kind of work that you would have been doing.
That's the kind of work I'd be doing, yes, yeah. But of course, that only lasted for a period of time in August sometime, you know. You might have 2 weeks of that, but then, you know, you'd be off for 3 or 4 days. Or when I was a kid, you know, about maybe 10 years old, see, what we used to do when the guy was mowing, you know, you went out to mow the oats, see. What we said was hold on the rod. You bent the straw back, or the oats back, so as it wouldn't fall down on the side, as we called it, you know. Yeah. And then somebody would come up after that, gathering up the sheaves and tying them, putting them in stooks. Say, yes, yeah.
So you really started working fairly.
Oh yeah, you worked. You worked. Well, I had no problem with working. I always liked to work, you know. Yeah. If there was a buck in it.
And everybody had to kind of work. And did your father send? You said he went to America. He sent money back home.
He sent money back home until the Depression here.
Oh, right.
And things weren't good.
Yeah.
Things were terrible.
Yeah. You had to find ways to support.
You had to find ways to support. My Lou, God love her, you know. She was she learned how to do the lace work. And she used to sit up maybe all nights, you know, making those, doing that, sending it to London, you know, for a few shillings, you know. Things were rough, yes, yeah.
Wow.
But it hurt me deeply. Oh, not too many years ago, she was still doing it in the 80s, you know. Yeah. And we went into Cleary's in Dublin. You know, that's one of the big stores like Macy's over here.
Yes.
And we saw some of her work. She sold each one of these for a pound, you know, to a lady who used to transport it up to Dublin. We go to Dublin, we see what she got a pound for, they were charging £35 on sale for 27.
Wow. And they
Yeah.
had those little tags with their names
No.
written on them so that you knew it was handmade lace.
Oh yeah, oh, absolutely, sure.
Do you have some of the lace
Yes,
that
yes.
she made?
I do, yeah, I do. My daughter has, beautiful frame pictures. I must take some pictures of what she done. I was always wanting her because I have some of it. It's in the house somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is, but I would love to donate a display of it.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's swans on it. You know, she has one with 2 swans on it, some with a harp on it. You know, some with butterflies. You know.
And she designed her own patterns and everything.
Yes, she had the whole thing, and it was done on muslin and netting.
Yeah.
One on top of the other, so, round, round, and round, round, round. Yes, yeah.
Did you ever sit and watch her doing that?
Oh, I did, yeah,
I bet.
yeah, many times, yes, yeah.
You've
Yeah.
you've always been very interested in the arts. I know you're a singer, you're a musician. My God, I watched you dance a couple of weeks ago, and I never saw you sit down from the time your meal was finished until the last note was played, and you exhausted people. You exhausted me just watching you.
Yeah.
And you've been involved in drama. With Clan and Gale here, were you involved in all those things back home too?
I was involved in drama, yes. Oh, and music, yes, very much so. When of course, I couldn't buy an accordion. I didn't have no money.
Yes.
But one of our good friends that I went to school with, they had an accordion in the family. See, so we borrowed it. Both Steve was a better player than I was. He was a great player, you know. So, my brother, yes, Steve. But he brought it home, see, and we started playing. You know, it was one of the little old melodeons, you know, with the stoppers on top of it, you know, and the thing. But I think it was a single row anyhow, you know. But the single row and the double row, the single row you were stuck because you couldn't get sharps and flats, you know.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
See. So you had to go to the double row so as you could play in G and D, and that was mostly all you ever played. You had to go outside on the second row to get those notes for that. Say, but
And you taught each other?
Well, you just sat down and you learned it. That was it. There was nobody. You went so as nobody would hear you. Yeah, and they were sick listening to you. I say, well, you ever give that thing up?
And you played a pipe as well?
Yeah, pardon?
A pipe. You played a tin whistle?
Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't play much on a tin whistle over there.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's only a couple of years ago since my daughter bought me one, you know, and I started playing. Yes, yeah. But, yeah.
And where did you do the drama?
In Belfast.
In Belfast?
In Belfast, yeah. I don't know how I got into it, quite honest with you. There was a lady in Belfast. She was Mrs. Turner, and she was more of a less of a elite person, you know, way above me. But she was very interested in drama. See, so we did a couple of plays, and we did a lot of some traveling around. Yes, yeah.
Do you remember any of the plays you did? The names of any of them?
Oh, I can't remember it now. Yes, yeah.
How old of a fellow were you then when you were doing that?
Oh, I was about 18 or 19, I guess. Yes, yeah.
So you did have some time. You got
I did,
to do some things. And who taught you how to dance?
No, you learned it. Well, except for the Kennedys, you know, teaching that.
The sets.
But you got out and you muddled around as best you could until you got as good, passable anyhow.
And where did you go to dance when you were?
At that particular time, there was dances all over. It was every Sunday night. There was dances in the local halls. See, you could go to about 2 or 3 of them, see, all the time. But of course, you know, once you passed puberty and you got interested in girls, well, that was the attraction.
Did a lot of dancing then, huh?
You did a lot of dancing then.
Did your sister dance with you? Did she help you to learn it all?
No, not too much really. No. She would go one place, I'd go another.
Okay.
Because she was still my superior, you know. So you stayed out of trouble.
You stay, kind of go to the dance with your mother or your father.
That's
I
right.
suppose,
Yeah,
right?
that's.
Yeah.
There was a certain amount of that. Yes, yes. Yeah.
Can you tell me, what do you remember about like a Christmas? What would Christmas have been like for you?
Christmas was in the bad times, you know. There wasn't too much around. Yes, yes, yeah. We would get sometimes a goose for Christmas, you know, and that would last us for quite a while, I'd say. But one of the, as far as toys were concerned, they used to get a stocking, you know, and that'd be about it. Be 3 or 4 candies in it, little small things in it. But in the early days when there was money around, there was plenty of toys. Yeah, oh, there was great. I remember one time being dressed up in a little Lord Fauntleroy suit, a velvet suit, you know, and I hated it. Yeah. But my brother, he got a train set, you know, and for I don't know what reason it was, but we didn't go to church that day. And by the time we come back, we had it broke. we were going to get killed.
Oh, did they do things like the mummers or that kind of a thing?
We did, yeah. We did mummers, yes, yeah. When I was growing up, when I was 17 or 18 years old, we used to go out at this was different. In the South, they call it the wren.
Yes.
But we didn't call it the wren. We just called it the mummers, you know. And we put on much the same little skit, you know. As they do here, yes, yes, yeah. As we've done it here, see. Yeah. But of course, you know, you walked. And you walked for miles. And you walked for more miles. So you went into the house. And by the time you left, you know, in the dark, in the wintertime, you know, you went out around 6 o'clock. But by 10 or 11, you were starving. Yes. So some of the guys that go into the house, you know, and they had these, as we call them, the press, you know. Yes. You know, and then
like a cabinet.
It's a cabinet.
Yes.
It was open, see.
Yes.
And then the bread would be sitting on that. You'd stand with the back to the thing, take a big chunk, and start eating on it. Everybody, give me a bite of that.
How many of you would go out together to do something?
Oh, we had well, I was into the music, and my brother, both of us were into the music. We had about 14 or 15, maybe. Yeah.
Was it a combination of guys and girls? Or was
it was all guys. It was all guys, yes, yeah.
And did you collect money?
Yes, yeah. We collected money, and there's a big story on that one too. We collected this particular year. We collected quite a bit of money. So we ran a dance, you know, to give back some of the money, you know, that we had collected, you know. And what we did, we didn't hire the regular hall. We got a man's loft, you know.
Mm-hmm. In his barn?
Is right over is a big loft, you know.
Yeah.
And we ran the dance in that, and Steve was actually playing. I don't know where I was, but I wasn't playing on that particular night. And he had the band going. Well, the crowd came. A free night, you know. Everything was free. I don't think we bought beer, but there was sandwiches and everything else like that. We bought a lot of stuff, you know, anyhow. But God, the crowd came. The crowd from everywhere. And they jammed into that loft. Well, about 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, didn't the hall go down? Went down, and where did it go? Down into the byre, as we call it, yes, where the cows were. Oh my God. Killed one of them. But by good luck, nobody was severely hurt, you know. But, well, I don't know if you could call it funny or not, but Steve was up there, and you know, when you're playing music, sometimes you're so concentrating on the music, you don't even see nothing else, you know. He's up there concentrating, and the thing went down. He's still playing away, and somebody said, "For Christ's sake, will you stop playing? Do something."
He was moved by his own music.
Yeah, I know, yes.
Jeez.
But we got in trouble after that, yes. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I can
yeah,
imagine.
we got in real trouble, yes, yeah.
Were you involved in sports?
Yeah, I I used to play football. Yeah, I played football for Cullyhanna one time. I wasn't there, but yeah. And when I went down to the north of Ireland, I was playing with a team down there. Yes, yeah. But I was too small. I was pretty fast, but way too small for that game.
Yeah.
Like my nephew plays, now.
Uh-huh.
Grandnephew, actually.
Yeah.
And he's 6'2" or 6'3", He's the man to be out there. Yeah, not me.
Now, I know every year that you go back home.
Yeah.
And you usually stay for a few
Couple of
months.
months, yes, yeah.
And why, how long you've been doing that? Have you always done that since you came back here, or no?
No. Oh, no. When I retired, I worked down in the, and I worked in the Underwood for about 10 years.
Oh,
I don't know if you remember that.
the factory of the Underwood
The factory, the
Yes.
Underwood, they were producing it was adding machines that they made in Bridgeport here. There was good money in it. I worked in the railroad when I came here first.
You did?
47, yeah. But it was nights. And it was it was a disappointment to me, because back in Belfast, when I was in Belfast, when the guys go around carting all the luggage and everything else, they had what they call this drum battery stuff, electric. They used to run around.
Mm-hmm.
When they come over here, they used to dump the mail right on the platform. You had to pick it up and put it on these big long carts, like a 4-wheel, iron-wheeled carts,
Yes.
and buggy lug it all over the line and put it on the wagon on the other side. I thought it was way back.
Yeah.
But another thing that I look back on, think about, was that Handy and Harman, which has just been knocked down right now, they used to have loads of silver ingots, like the size of bricks, coming in, and they were taken off these Railroad Express carriages, and they sat on the platform. Nobody ever bothered them.
Different world, huh?
It's a different world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my wife's uncle, he was what was known as a transfer agent on the railroad. When the money came in from the Federal Reserve to the banks, he was the man that moved it, these bags and bags of money, up